Welcome, feel at home. To kick us off, we want to just discuss, we keep talking about work, 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 work. But how about rest? What do we do for rest? What do we do to exhale from work? What do we do when we are not working? I remember Joram in a recent book launch. Joram has written a fantastic book called The Entrepreneurship Jungle. It's an amazing piece of literature. You all need to grab a copy of it. Was telling us as he spoke in this great book launch that his therapist was asking him, "What do you do when you're not working?" And he was wondering, when is this that I'm not working? And I'm an entrepreneur. I work all the time. So, Joram, I have mollified you here with that. And what do we do when we are not working? That's the question. Please share in the chat or unmute and tell us what you do when you're not working. For example, I am away in Ngong. I've been here for 2 days. I was supposed to be here for 2 days, but I've extended by a day. It is so peaceful. It is so amazing. It is so green. It's so fabulous. And the facility I am on is on top of a tree. It's like a tree house. So you can imagine I am on top of trees. When I look down, I see trees, the tops of trees. So I'm doing this for rest. I'm doing this to exhale. I'm doing this to find myself. I'm doing this so that I can connect with nature and connect and rest psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, just rest so that I am my best self when I relaunch at the end of this week when I'm back. Yeah, so what do you do for rest? Shalom, you read, you craft, you color, and you travel. Reading and travel, I get. Craft and color, I don't get. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. The rest of the team, welcome, Brienne. Lovely to see you here. And welcome, Dan, as well. Lovely to see you here. Welcome, Karibuni Sana. We are talking about workplace and workplace safety, psychological safety at work, and how we can have our well-being
Mm.
woven and threaded through our everyday. So
And so
what do
you
you all
see,
do?
it is crafted into every day.
Yeah,
Yes.
My
yeah,
well-being is
oh,
a
crafted.
craft.
I see what
Yeah.
you did there. I see what you did there. Vusani. You watch Chelsea. Please,
Yeah.
if you are not talking about Arsenal, we don't want to hear anything. We are
No, I think I'll leave the call because I might be the only Chelsea fan who's like, because everyone seems to be an Arsenal fan these days after Arsenal winning the title. So yeah, Chelsea's my team, but at the moment it's been giving me a bit of anxiety how it's been playing. So I've been protecting myself from watching a lot of football. So I love traveling. Like
right.
yeah, I'm in Zim, so I'm gonna maybe going to Victoria Falls. If you can look it up, it's one of the seven wonders of the world. So
Yes.
yeah, and I love cooking. My favorite is oxtail.
Oxtail.
Yeah,
Okay.
oxtail off the bone. Yeah, so yeah,
Mm,
I'm a
mm.
foodie. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that makes me reset after maybe a long day of work or meetings. So I love to take that time maybe to cook a nice meal over the weekend and read. I read a lot of books. Books help me as well to reset as well. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm an avid reader, so I love books. So those are things which I do outside work to give me
okay.
that work-life integration. I know there's debate around work-life balance, but maybe now I maybe use another term like integration, maybe. Yeah. So that
Right.
gives me that integration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely to
Mm.
hear that you're in a safe space, even if you're a Chelsea fan. This is a safe space. It is a safe space.
Yeah.
You talked about oxtail. I think we should eat meat in the morning. I don't know why we are cultured, especially as Africans, that you have to wake up and eat some porridge. I don't know what. I think we should just wake up and eat real food, real food. And Brian here is from Belfast. They produce great pork. We should just be
Mm.
eating nice food in the morning. Yeah, why not? Because why not? Who else wants to tell us what they do when they are not working? Brian, I take my dog for a walk and watch boxing. Boxing. Yeah, I'm a dog mom, so I'm relating to taking the dog for a walk. What's your dog's name? Boxing is new to me. I don't know. Is boxing a thing or is it just my ignorance? They are boxing Not teams because it's a solo sport, is it not? Yeah, are there boxing stars? Who's the current boxing champion? I don't know. Yep. Thanks for sharing that. Tell us your dog's name. We celebrate your dog. Who else wants to share? What do you do for rest? What do you do when you're not working? What do you do to exhale? What do you do for well-being? Yeah. Atipa likes to travel, yoga and Pilates, and relaxation at the spa. I want your life. I want your life. I want your life. I really do. It sounds very zen and very relaxed and very, those are nice things to do. It's like me time, self-care. Your sharing speaks of self-care. Okay, let's take one or two more. What do you do for rest? What do you do to exhale? Ah, come on, Brian. Your dog's name cannot be Rigiji. We refuse. We refuse. For those who are not Kenyan, that's like an opposition leader of some sort, a very controversial one. Yeah, yeah. All right, let me pick on people I know here. Dan Buria, welcome. What do you do when you're not working? What do you do for rest? Ben, I travel. You cycle twice a week. You read and participate in climate change activities. Awesome. We have an environmentalist in the house. Awesome. We need you like yesterday. Like yesterday. Really, we need nature care. Nature care is going to the dogs. You need to influence and persuade us. We really do need to hear your voice of advocacy. Cycling twice a week and traveling. Okay. There's lots of travelers here. Yeah, we should link up and travel to each other's places and spaces and
Yeah,
whatever.
or we should create a traveling club or something like that.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And make it easy. When you're traveling to Kenya, you come and stay at my
Yeah.
house. And now when I'm coming to Bulawayo, I come and stay at your house because why not?
Yes.
Yeah. Grace, I take walks and watch funny videos. Okay. And read a book and occasional gymming. All right. We also have readers in the house. We have readers in the house as well, quite a number of readers. Right. Don't want to block anyone else. Anyone who wants to share before we kick into today's activities? One more sharing. I'm also a foodie. I love to eat. What? People eat to live. Me, I live to eat. I live to eat. I love my food. Food is everything. Food can give you a hug. Food can comfort you. Food can excite you. Food is no, it's passion. Food is life. Food is an icebreaker. Food, food is a
What's
peacemaker. Food is everything.
what's your
Everything.
signature dish, Caroline? What do you like? What's your favorite?
I
Mm.
love whoever, hey, I bless the Lord for whoever created brown ugali. Brown ugali, I don't know what ugali is called in all of your different places. I think it's pap or fufu or whatever.
Salsa. It's
That
twala.
one, brown,
Mm.
the brown one, the one with millet, sorghum, that the dark brown one, yeah. And a dark green vegetable called managu. So you just when you eat this food,
You're making
everything.
us hungry. You're making us
I
hungry
tell
this
you,
morning.
oh man. When you eat brown ugali and managu, everything is okay. Nothing can disturb you, nothing can bother you, nothing can make you unhappy. Just, that's my favorite food in the whole world. In the whole world. Yeah. So let's start our conversation today. We've been talking about rest, still in the space of working well, working right, working with excellence, doing our best, and it's about people. Because no matter what we are doing with products and processes and building great institutions from ground up and sustaining those that are already in place and ensuring sustainability, we cannot do it without the people. In fact, we keep on telling those in financial services that when they are looking at the balance sheet, looking at assets, they should absolutely put the people first on that balance sheet. Because what are we talking about if we're not talking about people as assets? Yeah. And so, therefore, that's what our conversation is centered around today. And we have two great, great human beings in the room to cruise with us on this journey this morning. I hope it's morning wherever you are, to cruise with us so that we can, after just having a robust discussion, go and do. Because we hear a lot. There's lots we hear. We hear a lot. We are always hearing. We have many readers in the room. We're always attending conferences and workshops and webinars and talks and tips and strategy sessions and whatever you want to call them. But the rubber meets the road when it comes to doing. And so after this, we will have a very valuable discussion and go and do. Do. Action, action, action. And so I will start by introducing Busani. Busani is going to be our key speaker for the day. Busani is very passionate about well-being, getting people to be their best and to feel well-being. That's what makes him tick. That's his passion. This is what he does. He's an occupational therapist, but with mental health and well-being at the core of it all. He's a well-being advisor, well-being advocate, well-being practitioner, doing lots of team building work, organizational togetherness work, and getting people to just gel and work well together, getting teams to perform high performance and leadership and everything. Put all those things in one basket, tie them up, and that is Vusani for you. Vusani, does your name mean something? What does Vusani mean?
My thanks for the introduction. My name means awaken. It's in Ndebele, it's my name. So it
Wow.
means awaken. So I think it's a
Hmm.
perfect time for this session. Everyone is
Yeah.
awake. So it's
Right.
awaken.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're here to awaken the best in us. I love it. I
Yes,
love
yes.
it. So we'll be hearing from Vusani a little later. And let me introduce you to Shalom. Shalom's name means peace. And just as you see her, she's a very peaceful, peace-loving, peace-giving, peace-bringing human being. She's a counseling psychologist and she does a lot of work to get us to be well mentally, to get us to be well emotionally and psychologically as well. And she's an author. She's written a fantastic book that keeps giving. It's a gift that keeps giving. Shalom, you need to write more books. Let me say that here in front of everybody. They are witnesses here. We need another book. She does a lot of workplace wellness work for individuals and for teams, for corporates, giving talks. She has programs for women, for children, for youth, for the workplace. She's been doing this for a long time. And she's passionate about connecting generations. Fantastic podcast. Please look it up. It's called Connecting Generations. She's a connector. And so we have a connector in the room. And so Shalom as our connector for the day. Please connect the dots. What are we doing here? Why have we assembled here, Shalom?
Wow. Thanks, Caroline, for the energy, for the introduction, and for the challenge. I promise you, I will be getting more books in place. Now, why are we here? We are here because work and life has become one mixed bag of things to do, right? Like Husani was mentioning, workplace integration. It's no longer about balance, it's about integrating work and I don't know why we call it work life as though work is not part of life. But anyway, those are the words we've been given to use. And what I have noted is family is breaking down and that is bleeding into the workplace. So you run this organization, you have set structures in place, or you have dedicated yourself to making sure that everything is running right. But the human factor is hurting. The human factor is struggling because the more life changes, the more the world is demanding a lot from us, the harder it's becoming for people to actually cope, integrate, or balance, whichever word you try to use. So, as you heard, I'm a counseling psychologist, and therefore I get to see very many people in the therapy space and interact with them through the programs that Caroline has mentioned that we are running. Now, I'd like to mention, let me start from the lower person going to the higher person, the child. Children will never get into the boardroom, but they affect everything that's happening in the boardroom. And this is how they're doing it. Our children are struggling with different addictions. This is the first time in history that we have children and adults suffering the same addiction, and that is technology. And of course, with technology has come all other behavioral challenges, substance use and abuse, and all that. And you can imagine a parent who has a child who's struggling will still need to show up and look like they're okay in the workplace, right? And so when I get to see children and teens who are struggling, there's drug use, there's sexual identity and orientation, and a lot of confusion that's going on, then that bleeds into what your employee or even your director is dealing with. Then we have separation, divorce, and all the conflict that happens within family. So you can imagine CEO is having a domestic problem, whether marital in nature, and then has to come and look like he or she has it all together in the office. It's going to bleed into the team. When you can't deal with that hurt, I find that you end up bleeding on people who actually didn't hurt you, right? And so that's why this conversation ends up being crucial to all of us. Again, in the family space, there's blending. Now, for me, I take blending to be a sign of hope. Yes, we may say that there's a lot of divorce going on, but then there's a lot of blending also happening, which means people still have hope that something is going to work out. But here are some of the challenges that come with blending. Relocation, right? So suddenly then I'm marrying somebody who's in a different town. So I have to think about my job differently. Where I thought I could stay in this career for a while, now I have to change because of certain dynamics. So there's all of that that's coming. And this is the same human being expected to show up whole. And we'll be looking at that holistic person, right? They expect to show up whole at work. And the other day I had an opportunity to run a workshop in a disability mental health process in a conference for the church. This was specifically for faith spaces, but faith spaces have become like most workplaces, right? With less taxes and more expectations, right? And the human that we have in the workplace today, if we are talking about inclusion, will include everybody, regardless of the ability that they have. And Busani will be taking us through that. Now, if we don't have more open conversations about that, then we're going to struggle, right? Now, you may say, here is a human being and they have gone through life without any of those other challenges. Then enter the thing that we are seeing at director, CEO, board level. Menopause and the less spoken about andropause. We're getting people to a stage of life and they no longer have a BS filter. They don't feel they need to impress anybody. And when they have not healed, they're actually hurting people, right? So regardless of the stage you are at in life, and I said from children all the way to the grown-up, the person leading and the person getting to their later years in life, who we are saying needs to get to a place of rest, we are finding that those are the people who are affecting the psychological safety of the workplace, right? We'll get into what psychological safety is, but I wanted to sort of paint a picture of the person that we are talking about. A psychologically safe space will not be just about the structure. It's about the people. Buildings may influence psychology, but they don't have a psychology of their own. So if we don't take care of the people, it doesn't matter what we do with the building, right? Now, emerging issues from that. There's an increase in depression, anxiety, a lot of suicidal ideation and execution. People actually following through with their suicidal ideation, right? And dying by suicide. Unfortunately, we have CEOs being highlighted as dying by suicide. And when a leader gets to the point where they give up, the people they're leading tend to lose hope. The people they're leading tend to wonder, okay, what hope is there for me? I don't have as much money as that guy. I don't have the cars. I don't have the opportunities. And yet they are giving up and killing themselves. But why are we getting there? It's because we are not paying as much attention to the human as we should be doing. And I'm hoping that this is a conversation that gets us there so that we get started with healing. Healing, no matter how woo-woo it may sound, is something that is very, very necessary. So my hope, my prayer, and my desire for such conversations and many others that we can have with the different organizations represented here is that we can develop policies, structures, intentional frameworks that are going to make this part of that deliverable. As Caroline said at the beginning, when we are looking at the balance sheet, we're actually able to ask, how are our people doing? And okay, because we want to benefit, where is the return on investment on this wellness? Yeah, so thank you, Caroline. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely looking forward to hearing that. You have talked about how this whole conversation around well-being, around psychological safety at work and in business, and as we go out and do our dailies, whatever vocation we are in, whatever puts bread on the table, sounds very woo-woo. It sounds like it's out there. It sounds like something that is just a nice fuzzy thing. It doesn't really sound real because when we look at the things that are bothering us, when we look at the things that are happening at work and in business, with ourselves, with the people we are leading, with the people that work for us and work with us and we work with, our suppliers, our customers, our whoever it is that in this workplace setup, in this business setup, it's hard. It's just hard. Yeah. Like Dan is contributing. People get promoted not on merit, just either you have connections or you have some other way of sliding up that ladder. Sometimes it is just toxicity. The person leading you is absolutely just toxic. And like you've said, coming and carrying all of these things to the workplace, to the business place and dumping. Sometimes it's us, the entrepreneur. You are so stressed, you are stressing everybody downstream. And anyone who comes in contact with you then is collateral damage in all of this mess. So I don't know. Vusani, tell us. Tell us from your experience. You have experience doing this. This is your passion. Is it really possible to have a psychologically safe workplace? Is it, or is this just hot air?
Mhm. Thanks, Caroline. I think thanks to Shalom for that introduction. I think psychological safety is one of those most important traits that you need in a team. And the question I think we should ask ourselves is, as leaders, as people who are supporting, who are looking after our staff, do we really create those environments for people to flourish, for people to thrive? I think this is a burning question. I think there's been so much research around psychological safety in the workplace and how it impacts burnout, how it impacts even your retention of staff who stay in your workplace. So I think it's important to really, really understand that, are we creating those safe spaces for people to be vulnerable, for people to be their authentic selves? And I will explore that in this presentation, and I'll make it as engaging as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking forward to that. And we are many Africans in this space from different countries. South Africa here, there's Zimbabwe, there is Algeria, there's Kenya, there's Uganda. We are so many different Africans in here. And Busani, Africa is known to be warm. We are known to be warm people,
Yes.
welcoming people, hospitable people, people who embrace each other. Why are we not doing this at work and in business? So maybe as you run through this presentation and we are so
Yes.
ready to hear from you, we need to do better. We need to be leading the world. We are not cold. We are warm. This thing, this let's just create change and create it right away. Over to you. We're ready for your presentation, Busani.
Oh, thank you, Karen. Can you change the slides? Yeah. So I think, as I've said, in today's rapidly changing workplace environment and organization are under so much pressure to maintain that high performance within the workplace. But as we put our KPIs in understanding, okay, we want these KPIs to be achieved, but are we even putting well-being as a KPI? I think that's an important question that we should ask ourselves in this call as leaders, as decision makers. Are we really understanding that this is a person, like how Shalom has kind of like explained, like we are looking after people. So are we really understanding that this is not just a number, this is not just a worksheet. This is a human being who you are, who comes into your workplace, who comes into that environment. Are we looking at who they are? How are they flourishing? You know, those situations which are happening outside their work, they don't leave that outside work. They bring that into their workplace. And how resilient is your environment for people to kind of like overcome things that they've gone through outside work, our understanding of mental health challenges that they're going through. So I think it's important topic today that I'll explore some of this, and I'll use some frameworks which are evidence based, and so we can apply this into our day to day work. So this term psychological safety was coined by Amy Edmondson, who's a psychologist, and she refers to psychological safety as a way the environment where employees feel safe to speak openly and contribute ideas, ask questions, challenge respectfully, and admit mistakes without fear of embarrassment or punishment. Our workplaces allowing this kind of safe spaces for people to be vulnerable, for people to express themselves and not to even like mistakes. If they make mistakes, how do we treat that as leaders in our day-to-day work? I always use this analogy. You cannot empty from an empty cup. You cannot this cup is empty and you cannot pour from an empty cup. So I think as leaders, we are pouring out so much every day in our staff and everything, in our day-to-day one-to-ones with our staff. But are we looking even after our own selves before we support that stuff that you're supporting? So another reflection is like, let's take a brief look at your own organization. What conversations are not happening openly? You know, that's a question that I pose to the call, to the people on this call. What conversations are not happening, and how are mistakes handled in your workplace? Because mistakes are big aspects of psychological safety. If people make mistakes, they might try to hide them. So I think it's important to understand how are mistakes handled in your workplace, and do employers feel safe disagreeing? You know, is there that environment to support people if there's a disagreement or conflict? Is it done in a healthier way? What happens when someone challenges an idea? So I share this to the call. If anyone can share ideas around their workplace, around these questions.
Yeah, you can share in the chat or you can
Yes.
unmute and share any one of these. Do the people you work with feel safe to
Mhm.
say, I messed, I messed, I have messed. I have messed. I know you don't want to hear this, but I have messed. Yeah. Is it a safe space? Is there trust? What conversation is grapevine? You know, it is said that grapevine is the source of truth. If you want the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth is in the grapevine. I don't know why grapevine is an analogy. Is it because grapes? I don't know. I love grapes. I'm a foodie. I eat everything. I don't know why this is hate speech on grapes, but grapevine is is a source of all gossip and workplace issues. So who wants to share? We can take one or two sharings.
Um, yes, I can share.
Go
Am I
ahead.
audible, Carol? Okay. Now, in my workplace, we usually have meetings on Mondays, where everybody can join
Mm,
and they can share whatever they feel like is not working well, um, whatever they feel that is an issue that they have. They can share even family-related matters if they have challenges.
mm,
We can look for ways on how to handle them.
mm,
Now we on conversations that are not happening openly, we rarely talk about finances. You know,
mm,
in my workplace, we are not that open to share information around finances, how the company is run, um, what are how money runs within the company. Yeah, we rarely do
mm,
that.
mm,
Um, How mistakes are handled, we are a bit tough on mistakes. We usually hold remedial meetings, to any employee who does a mistake. Of course, in a closed office, and we talk about them. And sometimes we give warning letters to employees who do um, recurrent mistakes.
Mm.
Yeah. Do employees feel safe disagreeing? Okay, this one I can maybe talk by myself because I don't know if the employees feel safe, if they are safe or not. But for me, I feel safe disagreeing with my employees and maybe other partners in the company. I don't leave anything on the table. I don't hide anything around that. So I feel safe to disagree with anybody who doesn't agree with me. So what happens when somebody challenges an idea? We discuss. That's why we have those meetings every Monday. Every Monday we have meetings as the company. We have a general meeting. Then later we have a departmental meeting. So if there is any challenge, somebody has a right to challenge your idea. Give opinions and
Fabulous.
we see
Fabulous
which one works
sharing.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Fabulous sharing. Brian works for a fantastic manufacturing organization called Belfield's Farm Care. You all need to go there and look them up. Vusani,
Yeah.
what do
No.
you think about
Mm.
this matter of like what Brian has shared is this
Yeah.
some great things and some not so great things. So there's a mix in there. What can be turned around and what
Brian,
needs to be
yeah.
sustained? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think thanks for sharing that insight. I think it's important, like how they're doing in their organization, but people can bring in some insights of what's happening outside work. So I think that's best practice, and I encourage that because sometimes as people come into workplaces, we said how they people leave those kind of personal things which are happening outside, and then that's best practice that's happening. And I think the leadership I always say it's a top-down approach. Leadership plays a big part in creating psychological safe environments, and how leaders behave, the behavioral impact, it impacts the team. Kind of like I think it's creating those conversations, whereby can you really disagree in an open and respectful way, even conversation, and that drives now innovation and how we can innovate better in the organization. I think that's important what Brian shares around their organization. Yeah. Which is difficult, I think, day to day. I think in creating those environments, it might take time, because it's behavioral. Behavioral is science agrees that sometimes these habits takes time, and sometimes boundary setting is important in the workplace. How do we even disagree to agree in a healthy way? Yeah, and how
Yeah.
to address those things and create environments where everyone feels they can be their authentic selves. I think that's the most important thing in
Right.
and accountability as well within the leadership and within everyone within that team, you know.
Right. Right. Great. Would you like one more sharing, or do we kick off to look at ourselves as leaders and what we need to, what hats we need to put on and which ones we need to take off? Wasani?
Yes, yes. I think leadership is one of those most debated topics now.
Was Wasani frozen or is it me? I will repeat how I'm in Gong Hills. I'm on top of the hills. I'm in a
I
very
think
fantastic place. So it might be my internet, but I think he has frozen, right?
Yes, yes, he
yeah,
has
it's
frozen.
frozen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I mean,
Shalom, we
yes,
will we will we will switch over to you. And what's leadership? Talk to us.
um, you see, leadership is setting an example, setting direction, trying to allow structure enough space, right? And that's why leadership is not always about one person leading. You can be led by people who are not positional leaders, title leaders. And yes, they do play a huge role in the general well-being of the organization. That's what I think about leadership. It's not just a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for
Leadership.
that. I
Yeah, go ahead, Vusani. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah. My internet just went off. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. While you are
Sorry for
away,
that. No.
no problem.
Yeah.
While you are away, Shalom told us that
Yeah.
leadership is not about titles, and managers, as we are
Yes.
seeing on the slide, is not about titles. It's about
Yes.
what you do as a magnet for others, how you set the stage, how you are an example, a role model. And so that's where you have found us. So back to you.
Yes, yes. Yeah. No, I was explaining how leadership is not just a title. Leadership is actually a responsibility, it's influence. How are you influencing people around you in your team? How are you building their kind of like their resilience? How are you supporting them grow within their roles? So I think it's we leaders play an important part. I think from research, Gallup findings also highlight important role managers play in shaping employer well-being and workplace experiences. Organizations that are intentional in investing in trust, which is a big factor in people thriving in the workplace. They are very successful in retaining staff and people feeling like they belong in those workplaces. And communication plays a big. How are you communicating with your team? You know, like that big part. You know, it's even in your one-to-ones in you know, when someone's maybe made a mistake. How do you handle that? What communication do you use with them? And the emotional well-being, as we've highlighted, how it is important after self-emotional regulation. How are you like as a leader? You know, and as you say, there's so much trauma sometimes within leadership, which sometimes comes into the workplace. Someone is experiencing a lot of maybe trauma outside this, and how do you now present to the team, and that affects the team. Um, and all this strengthens resilience, which is so important in the workplace. And the cost of silence. The absence of psychological safety creates national blind spots, I think. As we have realized, when employees do not feel safe to speak honestly, recent mistakes go unreported. I think Gallup did that study and find out how people were not reporting certain mistakes that they were doing, and it was quite high. So, because they're scared to share that to maybe their manager or their senior. Innovation decreases, like as you said, how people they don't come with ideas. They just maybe just silently quit. They are there in the work, but they're not there. You know, say, but they are not there. So that innovation, they just bring the basics to work, and trust weakens as well. As you say, trust is a big factor. You know, how do you create trust within teams? And emotional exhaustion increases like due to cost of silence, and that really impacts the performance, and leadership loses value, a valuable insight into what's happening within your team, your staff, and morale is a big factor, you know, declines, you know, and the morale is so important in creating cohesive teams that work together well, that problem solve together well. So from this, we have to explore more about learning from failure. What does failure look like in your organization? High performing organizations are not successful because they avoid failure entirely. They succeed because they learn from failure intelligently. Amy Edmonds don't explore this. I'll recommend a book, The Fearless Organization, which explores this, which goes deep into this, kind of like asking, okay, how does failure look like in your team? You know, in psychological safe workplaces, employees are more likely to put mistakes early. They can even because there's that space to communicate that with you, the senior, and ask for help, and they can ask for help and feel like they won't be punished for asking and engage in honest conversations that prevent larger organizational problems. So I think identifying this problem, like when one is on probation, like early stage, how do you create that safe space to make mistakes, to learn, you know, like intelligently, and fear-based cultures hide mistakes. Psychological safe cultures form setbacks into opportunities for learning, innovation. So I think I don't know if everyone knows the fixed and growth mindset. Our fixed mindset, it affects people to innovate and people to grow. So I think when we create environments whereby people can grow, opposite to the fixed mindset, we really can impact our teams and our organizations. And the right kind of failure from Amy Edmondson, who explores this so massively. Not all failures are, some failures result from intelligence, while others care through experimentation, innovation, and navigating uncertainty. And there's a term which they use in Silicon Valley in US about failing faster. Where now they're encouraging startups, founders, before they even give them funding. How many times have they failed? So that's another question they ask. They won't fund you unless you failed before. So when growing up, failure was, we're taught that is a bad thing, But now when you start realizing that's what happens through failure, through learning, iterating, learning, trying maybe different ways to solve that problem. So growing up, yeah, myself, I grew up, yeah, I was a failure. And I remember even in varsity when I didn't do one paper well, I didn't share that because I knew I was scared of what I'll get from that. So failure is one of the by how do we address failure? How do we respond to failure in our lives? In even day-to-day things that we do. So organizations that punish every mistake equally often discourage creativity and openness. Almost like what I've kind of like reinforced earlier around, are we creating those spaces for people to be creative and make mistakes and learn from those failures? And psychologically safe leaders distinguish between blameworthy mistakes and intelligent risks. So I think this is quite important within our workspaces. How do we approach mistakes? Do we really encourage people to grow from them? Or do we judge them upon those mistakes and focus on those things that they've done wrong or they make mistakes on? And this creates environments where employees feel safe enough to contribute ideas, challenge the thinking of certain decisions, and improve continuously. Is that always improving? Do we improve continuously within our spaces? So what they need, what you need, employers do not leave stress, emotional stress, trauma, or how we've discussed how Shalom is explored us, or life pressures at the door when they come to work. Um, People need to be supported, and people need the leaders to understand how these things that are outside can impact their performance. Are we looking at your KPIs from money, what you need to achieve as an organization, but what of their well-being? You know, Understanding of that person's situation, the environment that they're in, going on in their lives, that will impact their performance. So I think really having that introspective perspective, understanding how this is linked to performance as well. When someone is not achieving maybe the KPIs, it's maybe something to do with what's going on in their life, like really understanding that is really impacting how they're performing in the workplace. Because we want to create a sustainable work environment for them to last, to work long term in their role. Yeah. So I use this model in practice a lot. The ISF model by World Health Organization, which shifts the conversation from asking what is wrong with the employer to asking what in the environment may be impacting participation, performance, and well-being. Organizations that strengthen trust, openness, education, and inclusion and emotional safety improve not only employer well-being, but organizational as well. So when you look at how do we look at our environment being a barrier or an enabler? How people do you understand that human being who's coming into the work in the context of whatever they're going through, maybe the condition, depression, anxiety, that will impact how they perform, you know, that will impact their participation. So are they even having enough sleep? Sleep on its own is a very important habit. Are they sleeping enough? what's going on, as we said, Karen raised, Shalom raised about menopause, things like that will impact how one performs, So I think it's important to have a holistic understanding of that person that is in the workplace. So in order to really contextualizes the human being better, because you understand that things are interlinked. The environment, the family, how is that the environment that that they are coming from, it's a toxic environment, you know, and other factors, like I don't know, myself, like needs, people are aware of that, how safety in the bottom of the foundation is one of those prime needs, human needs. And when that is not met, even the housing that they live, is it a safe space? How is the housing, food and shelter? Those kind of basic things. If they're not met, how can they even self-actualize and actually thrive in progression if those early needs are not met? So I think it's important to really understand the needs that the people that we support in our workplaces are met as we get to work with them. Yeah. Okay, move to the next one. So the key to trust in leadership is kindness. I think kindness is usually misunderstood as a weakness, but now there's so much science and research around how kindness can really create safe spaces for people to collaborate, to communicate in a more safe, in a more healthy way. So I think kindness is a very strategic leadership behavior that strengthens the trust of the team. That's so important for our team and the people that we support. Employers are more likely to engage only when they believe leaders will listen fairly and respond respectfully. So supporting learning rather than humiliation. So kindness is one of those traits that we should embody in our day-to-day behaviors as leaders in this call, and then that can really build that safe environment for people to flourish, and being consistent with that. How do you do that in a radical kind of way? There's a concept called radical kind of whereby we are both empathetic and we are assertive as well, So you can look up the work of Kim Scott, our radical candor, whereby can we be assertive and can we be um, empathetic at the same time and empowering our people who we support day to day. So, strat psychological safety is a strategic business impact. When you see the strategic business impact of it, how when people feel safe and those environments are safe, um, you retain your staff, Yeah, turnover is not very high, like people because they want to stay in those environments that they feel like valued, that people feel like they are supported, people that they can be authentic selves and that they belong to those spaces. So it improves collaboration and innovation. You are more likely to innovate better, in your business because now people can share ideas, can make mistakes and learn from mistakes and not hide mistakes and strengthen the leadership effectiveness. So it's a top-down approach. I think is we have to really emphasize and reinforce that leaders must create that space for people to be safe so that they reap the rewards in the business, reduce burnout and disengagement. As we say, quiet quitting is quite a big thing nowadays. But people are there, but they're not there, and burnout as well, which is very common, how people are experiencing burnout, and organizations are not aware of that, and that can really impact the business when someone maybe goes on sick for a long time or leaves to another job because that environment is not understanding of supporting everyone around their well-being. I think well-being should be a number one. And yeah, in your organization, in your team. So building resilient workplace cultures is strategic business impact that you can have within your team, within your organization, and enhance organizational trust and reputation, which is important. I think trust is one of those big themes coming out from this, how we really need to build the foundational trust within our staff that are there, that we are supporting every day. So psychosocial safety is not simply about well-being, it's a long-term business and leadership strategy. So as you say, it affects like other parts of your business, and then you actually flourish in your business as well, and like your team is flourishing as well. Mm.
Right, right.
Yeah,
You've spoken about so many important things. I'm even wondering, what do
yeah,
we start at parking? What do we put in the parking lot? What's what? But before we take
yeah.
questions and answers, which we want to do
Mm,
right now, is please put in your questions in the chat or unmute and ask your
mm,
questions so we may leave here with answers and things that we can go and practically implement. I have loved the ICF model. I've absolutely loved it. It's very
mm,
holistic. It looks at every single thing. The thing that has stood out
mm,
for me, though, is you talking about how we have been cultured to hide things from childhood. We're always
mm,
hiding everything, hiding
mm,
feelings, hiding mistakes, hiding in
mm,
shame, just hiding. And so this hiding thing is following us everywhere. We need to,
mm,
what do you say, remove the cloak, this cloak of fear and hiding. And it shows up all the time, every time. I saw Julie
mm,
here. Julie is launching a book this week about understanding the room, which is about interviews and people, great tips and strategies around it. And in interviews, people hide so much. You cannot even find the
mm.
genuine person. They are so hidden
Yeah,
in this cloak of false, false perfection. So how do we get
mm,
out of this hiding, Busan, even as we wait for questions from the audience here? This hiding thing
yeah,
it's a pandemic.
yeah, yeah. I, I think I mentioned a bit. I think that growth and fixed mindset is a big aspect. How do you in ourselves that ability to have that growth mindset instead of fixed mindset? Because fixed mindset, we fear for being authentic selves. But how do we create a growth mindset within ourselves or within
Mm,
yourself? Like, because like if you feel like you have to hide this, but sometimes it's fine to say I don't know this, I don't understand how to work around this, maybe as a software, as a new things that you've introduced into your workplace. But can you ask mistakes? Can you allow that space to say, okay, I don't know, And I think it's an internal thing which can be, yeah, kind of like rolled across the team. How do you create that growth
mm.
mindset within ourselves and within the team, I think. Mm.
Growth mindset. Yeah, completely get that.
Yeah.
Send in your questions, and as we wait for them, I'll pick one question that
Mm,
came already through the registration form that you all filled. And it says, how do you convince your departmental leader about psychological safety at the workplace? This is managing up. How do you convince the person? You know it's good. You've spoken to us, Busani. We know
yeah.
all the right things. You will share with us this wonderful presentation. But how do I
Mm,
manage up? How do I convince my departmental leader about this thing called psychological safety? How do we do that?
yeah. I think it starts with open communication. Is your space even safe to have an open communication around that, because sometimes you can even get in trouble if your leader is wired with has got a fixed mindset. They're not open to ideas, they're not open to understanding kind of like what safety mean. So I think it's important to first establish your environment that you're in, because some environments do not even support psychological safety. They are saying, no, that's yeah, that doesn't work here. So I
Mm,
think it's important to really understand how, because they can even fire you. You know,
right,
they can even, yeah, they can even fire you and say, no, this is not the environment for this.
right,
So I
yeah.
think. really maybe open conversations around that. If maybe one is in a decision making role and trying to create that, okay, and kind of like selling this to the leader, to the maybe CEO, how that this can drive innovation, this can drive performance. So I think really first establish your environment where you are before
Mm,
one can drive these conversations, like how
right.
we're doing it. Like in this call, we're encouraging these conversations to be normalized around safe space. How do you create safe spaces? So I think look at the environment that you are in first before, because that you can be told off, you know, with that. No, we don't do that in this organization,
Yeah, very possible.
So
Yeah,
really have
very
that.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Understand your
I don't know,
environment.
Shalom, what you think. Yeah.
Yeah, Shalom,
Mm.
please jump in. And while
Mm.
you're jumping in,
Mm.
Nancy is talking about
Yeah.
how, and this is, I think we need therapy. We're in the right room. Nancy is talking about
Yeah.
how this hiding emotions is fear. We are so afraid.
Mm.
We are so afraid. What do we do, Shalom? We are so afraid.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, there was something, I think when Vusani was sharing, there was something on his slide about what they need versus what you need. And I think sometimes we manage up by meeting their needs so that they can meet our needs. And I'm assuming now there's somebody up, right? Um, at the CEO top level or head of department type of level, you may think that this is the way things are done in this space. And oftentimes, like Nancy is saying, hey, you better hide your emotions. You better hide what you're feeling, hide your mistakes. That's the nature. That's what we are sort of like trained to do. It is
Mm.
disrespectful to talk to your boss. It's disrespectful to correct this person who's bigger than you. And it comes from childhood, right? So I
Yeah.
think, and this is what I have seen, when you look at it from their eye and you present the case in the language that they will understand, then things get done. So I'll
Mm,
speak from top level. Why should I support you if I don't know that you can support me? So when
mm,
somebody in my junior or somebody who's junior to me comes and shows that they are supporting this journey that we are on, it can connect to my humanness, not always does, right? It can, and you say, okay, what would you need? Or as you're supporting this boss, you're telling them, this is what I'd like to be able to better deliver on your expectations. So
mm,
that it doesn't,
Mm.
because I think one of the fears that leaders have is that when we get into mental health conversations, people are going to take advantage of the mental health
Mm.
conversation to probably demand time off, demand certain expenses to be catered for. But as the people reporting to them, if we actually showed how our needs meet the organizational needs, then that will help. And here's the thing about having that sort of mindset, you grow. You become a more solutions oriented person. You get seen as a more solutions oriented person. The solution is not always financial, but if you are able to link your wellness to a financial outcome, then it makes it easier for you to be listened to. Okay, because there's much as we're saying we need to create psychologically safe workplaces, there is a responsibility of the individual too. So if my
Mm.
board is demanding things of me as a CEO, I need to be clear that this is what I will be able to deliver. This is the capacity I have, right? And these are the issues going on in my life that would affect the delivery. And because I'm dealing with these issues in this way, then I will be able to meet this deliverable or this expectation or this stakeholder expectation, right? So it's about
mm,
understanding yourself and then communicating it in a way that links to the
Mm.
overall outcome.
mm.
Because
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
individual wins, the organization wins. But if you can point out to
Mm.
how the organization is winning, then as
Mm.
an individual, you will also win.
Right, right.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
makes so much sense. I think we actually have spoken so much about communication, communicating. I
Mm.
think we need in this series, the next one just needs to be around communication so that we can then
Yeah.
communicate well, speak values, speaking the language of the board of the leaders, for leaders
Mm.
speaking the language of the people, and just even speak vulnerably. Vusani, as an African man, you're
Mm,
from Zimbabwe, but you look Kenya.
yeah,
You could very easily be from Western Kenya. You look like
yeah,
our Western Kenyan brothers. The African man is not supposed to communicate the kindness you are talking about. You are supposed to
mm.
be that strong human being who can finish
Yeah,
people. You're not supposed to be vulnerable. How
yeah.
what is this a fallacy? How do we overcome this? What can we do about
Overcome
this
it.
in workplace and
Yeah,
in business? Yeah.
yeah. I think Karen, you raised an important point there. Like, as African youth, there's that myth that you must be strong. Even
Mhm.
crying or being emotional is a weakness. But we can still be kind and be like this Rajakakanda, which I use a lot, term, which is like being still empathetic and being assertive together. How can we match that together, whereby you can be a senior boss and a manager there, but still be kind and empathetic and compassionate as well within your space. So I think there's so much myth around even how do we share things that we're struggling in mental health within black, like within the black man, like within black communities where we grow up, like the suicidal rates are quite high within black men and depression, anxiety, because men with health, we are told to, and in my language, be strong, be strong, even whatever is going on. So I think it's can we approach even the environments of work with being just yourself, without putting that mask. I think it's a mask that we put,
Mhm.
as black men. Okay, we are strong men, while we shouldn't suppose being nice seems a weakness, but I think being our authentic selves, and then it's difficult, because I've worked with black men in UK who are experiencing anxiety, stress, um, mental health, and you see it comes from childhood, and then that expectation sometimes, how is the society is a big part, I think, in this, like around that as well, and responsibility, individual responsibility, what Shalom has said, how looking after yourself, which takes time, so I think it's really understanding yourself first,
Right. Right.
before you come out there in the workplace. So it's another big topic, I think, when you're looking
Right.
at like and mental
Right.
health
Yes.
and ability. How can we still be vulnerable and be a superpower? Brené Brown explores this in a very yeah, kind of like interesting way around vulnerability and around men and women, which is different, I think.
Yeah, we did a whole session on that. It's very interesting. And you
Yeah.
having experience both, working in the UK and having the African experience as
Yes.
well, it would be great to have comparatives there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
open for questions there. Once anyone who wants to ask a question, put up your hand or put it in the chat. We'll be ready. Shalom and Vusani are ready to respond to your questions. Shalom, let me pitch this one at you. It also came through the registration form. It talks about how do we assist people to regain and refocus when they've gone through issues, and how do we at a personal level regain and get motivation when we've really gone through issues, because there's so much happening. We are going through a lot. We are going through a lot. If we polled everyone around the room and said, this throw whatever you're going through at us, it would not even be able to handle it. There's just so much. How do we
Yeah.
bounce back? Yeah.
Um, you see, when I like the question, how do we bounce back? You you bounce back based on what you're made of. Like a delicate ball will break as opposed to bouncing back. A rubber ball will bounce back as opposed to breaking. Now it's asking what is the makeup of this person, right? So depending on where you are, there's lots of organizations represented here, but there's some organizations that intentionally employ vulnerable people, right?
Mhm.
So they need to be extra aware of the vulnerability of the person to be able to create a space that they can bounce back from the struggles that they have been through. Now, I like explaining with a picture in mind. I mean, I tend to be very visual in terms of how I think, right? And how I see. So I want to talk about, and I want to sort of like link that to the question that Brian has asked about. We have a generation called Gen Z. They do like work, little work pressure. They quit. How can we handle them? Right?
Mm.
So
Yes.
let me use that employee as the person to talk about. Now, here is a Gen Z and they're living their life, whatever their life may look like. And you have employed a whole bunch of them, and you're wondering, okay, they've been through issues. How do they come? How do I create a space that they can bounce back? The space is created before the issue is experienced. That's why I'm saying we need to make this part of policy, structure, and intention of the organization and how it's being run. Because have you created a space where this Gen Z will actually come and say, my parents went through something and I no longer have a home today. We have 25-year-olds in employment but living with their parents. When they go and find a breakup has happened and they no longer have a place to stay, what happens? That is something that you would need to understand. Now, let's say I have a Gen Z, and sometimes they'll finish work late and then decide to go party. So they're totally hungover in the morning, right? At some point, we knew that it didn't matter. And we, I mean, an older generation, knew that it didn't matter what you did yesterday evening, you needed to be at work at a particular time. But now we are having people coming and saying, I'm not having a good day. I'd like to come in late. And all they have done is really party. And I'm not minimizing that because, they need that social connection. But are we creating a space that shows them how to do the social connection well, how to do the partying well without influencing their performance at work? Because do they know that they can go for this party at a particular day? You'll find some organizations are creating 4-day work weeks where they have an extra day for the weekend, and they're choosing that as a model for creating a space where people can go and have their fun. Are we having the conversations? Are we saying that if you are having a crisis about your children, here is how we are going to handle it. If it's a health crisis, here is how we are going to handle it. If it is a character crisis, because sometimes it's just plain bad manners. Even when firing somebody, what is your firing process? When you feel you have to actually let go. On the podcast, you mentioned the podcast that we've been doing called Connecting Generations KE.
Yes.
And one of the things, I think it was a professor who talked in one of the interviews, and he says the exit interview makes it such that this person that you are firing comes back to say, thank you for firing me. Because they realized they needed to develop their character to be able to succeed in the workplace. So I'm not saying that we have to keep everybody. It's how we manage the process. There's a school that I partner with. Of course, because of all the things that students go through, pretty often they may need to expel a child. They never expel a child without having a psychological intervention with the parents. Because if you expel a child and they're going to go to another school, that's just a financial thing. It's just school fees that's going to be paid. But they will transfer the problem that you have experienced into the other school. So this school decided part of the exit interview for the family is to sit with a psychologist and actually discuss, this is what we noted in your child, these were the intervention measures that we took, and this is why we are letting go of them. So creating a nice process within the HR and the other policy space of getting rid of somebody can make your office a psychologically safe space. I'm not saying we encourage bad manners. I'm saying we teach people to stop behaving badly. And we be the workplace that launches people into the next part of their life in a growth space without necessarily having to keep them. But they can come back and say, I realized my mistake. Thank you for letting me go. I have grown. Right? You were talking about kindness. I remember in your episode when you talked about this guy, your mom's kiosk was such a beautiful place to work in. People would come and work for free. So you see, if
Yeah.
we can create such environments, then we'll grow from there.
Right.
And we'll be able to
Absolutely.
handle, it's not just about the generation, we'll be able to handle the differences. I prefer to look, yes, we are
Yeah.
connecting generations, but each generation is made of human beings.
Yeah.
So how about
Yeah.
connecting to the human, and then it will be easy to connect to the generation. I hope I've
Fantastic.
answered your question.
You have really answered. And
Yeah.
whilst you're still there, don't move, don't
Okay.
move. Tell us action. You've said beautiful things. Musani has said beautiful things. We are high on them. What
Mm.
do we do? What do we do from here? What action? What are we doing? We leave here and then what?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, decisions will need to be made, right? Let me
Mm,
just share something that may help at least give a picture of what it is that we
yes.
are doing.
Okay.
And yeah, just give me a minute.
All right. 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 As you pull that up.
Yes.
I have loved the discussion around vulnerability, around kindness, around being authentic, around being genuine, and I think that's where the rubber actually meets the road, so that we are not pretending and putting on masks, as Musani was saying, it's a mask, and we are unmasking. So I think one of the big take homes from here is that we do need to unmask.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Over to you.
Yeah. And so you see, as we are unmasking, sometimes we may need help walking through that process. Sometimes there's organizations that may feel they can do this on their own. But here is what we have to offer. And I know, Caroline, this is something that we have participated with you when you did this
Mm.
for another organization, just
Yes, yes.
holding team workshops,
Mm.
team workshops that help us strengthen that trust, communication, and collaboration within these generations in the organization. We can come and do that for you. We'll custom make it for you, or you can have like a preset. There's programs that exist that we say these are the 6 things that you're going to achieve in your organization, or we can custom make one for you. We have leadership masterclasses. We are saying that this starts with the leader. We are saying that the back basically stops with you. But how do you build leadership capacity? Vusani was mentioning books here. We have The Right Kind of Wrong by Amy Edmondson. We have books like Radical Candor. Like Radical Candor is a book that I think every leader should read, because it's a great book on giving feedback. Sometimes we feel like, they need to hear this, but how do we do it in a way that actually grows the organization? We do that when we are building capacity for leaders, especially CEO board level, to basically help them build these high performance teams. We run regular well-being and mental health programs, right? And that would be, I think, and I've given the example of the school, I've given the example of when you're firing somebody, we support employee well-being and just help them build this resilience. Because like you were saying, how are they going to bounce back? Sometimes
Mm.
it's just a bump on the road. They
Mm.
tripped. They didn't know any better. You might find that just giving them that support is a game changer to their performance in the office, right? It's a good intervention to have. Then there's culture. Like we're saying, if this is going to be something that is running through the organization, we're going to do the transformation support. We're saying this is what the organization needs. These are the KPIs, these are the deliverables. We want performance, we want sustainability, we want growth in the bottom line when it comes to the dollar amount, right? Now, how do we align that to everything else that's going on, to the human aspect of this, right? Then, of course, there'll be the general speaking and facilitation services that Busani and I do. Caroline does that. We are able to actually run that. Now, as we are saying, why does this matter? This is basically what I would say, like in summary, the
Mm.
trust that you're going to build, the engagement and retention, right, that you're going to have, performance, innovation. Those are the things that we like hearing in the boardroom. But the human is the one who's doing the performing. The human is the one who has a healthy brain that will bring in innovation. When
Yeah.
they're not stressed, there's not that interpersonal conflict happening, especially in the workplace. You can imagine how many hours we spend at work.
Yeah.
If there is conflict there, then growth doesn't happen, right? Now we come and
Right.
look at the
Yeah.
root cause of what it is that's going on, because the root cause could have happened way before. this person got even into primary school. The root cause should be something that you cannot identify as an organization, but we're able to come and actually dig deep and do that because of the psychological background that we have. And then, of course, we are saying we want to enhance organizational reputation. There's a marketing guru called Seth Godin, brilliant author. He says, people like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. So my challenge is, what do you want to be known for as an organization? Right? We could stay the same, but do you want to make a difference and start hanging out with people like you who do things like this? Things like this meaning you take care of your employees, you take care of yourself. You're basically building a psychologically safe space in your organization, right? Now, at the moment, we have 2 programs that are running. One was supposed to start this Saturday, but it won't necessarily start this coming Saturday because there's other events coming on. And they are primarily, these 2 flyers that I'm sharing are primarily for women because, hey, woman. But we have the Ellen version of man, right? Where we create a program and we have curated a program where the men will actually also come and go through this thing. Now, why am I saying men versus women in this particular case? Is because sometimes healing happens when we are with people who are like us. Vulnerability is easier when you feel you belong in a space, right? If you have been hurt, let's say like now in the women's space, if you have been hurt by a man, you don't want to necessarily do your healing in the space with men. As a man, if you've been hurt by women, I mean, I see men in therapy and I feel shame for the hurt that we women are bringing upon men. That man will not heal when you put him together with a woman in the same space. So when we're talking about customized sessions, they will actually be customized also to the people attending it, right? And it just allows that healing to happen. So the Ellen will be starting a little later. The Inside Out Self-Care starts in June and it's purely online. The other one is in person and hybrid, right? So those are the ones that are available at the moment. And even as we're going through this, and Caroline, you'll be finishing, I'll leave this slide on, just saying we'd love feedback. But those are the offers we have. That's the action. That's the thing I'm asking. You as the organizational leader, you as a department leader, you as a business owner, entrepreneur, solopreneur, right? Freelancer, whatever you may call yourself, you are making business decisions that impact the wellness of everybody else. And let me just put it this way, Caroline, I think when you started, you talked about suppliers, whatever, employees and all.
Yes.
Even if I work alone, I talk to the delivery guy.
Yes.
Based on how I'm doing psychologically.
Yes.
So our current psychological state of mind matters. So my call to action is number 1, yes, do call us, we shall help you. But what are the steps you're taking as an individual to be well? And then as a leader to create a space that is psychologically safe for people. Yeah.
Great. Absolutely great. As you fill in the feedback form, Vusani, tell us your call to action. What is your part in short? What do you want to leave us with so that we may go charged into these workspaces, businesses?
Thanks, Caroline, and thanks, Shalom. I think this conversation to me as well, it's a passion to me, and I think for everyone on the call, like I think let's take accountability and responsibility for ourselves first, and look at like working on ourselves first before. Like you might be working individually, you might be working within a team, you might be a creative, and but how are we on ourselves, like asking that question, how do I treat the other person? Like, am I kind to my colleague? Am I kind to my peer as a driver? The person at the restaurant that is serving you that meal was delayed. How am I like kinder to each other as human beings? Then you can create spaces whereby we can be safe to be vulnerable, be ourselves. So be yourself, and we are there to support you and your teams as well. Like in actually applying that. This has been just starter. If it's a meals starter, we serve a more like tailored support to your teams, which is a whole day. The workshop could be a more intensive one. So this is just what we serve today, and yeah, we are so open for everyone can reach out. I'm on LinkedIn for Sanichiro. Feel free to follow me, and yeah, let's try conversation around safe spaces in the workplace.
Yeah, what a delicious starter. You know, the starter is supposed to get you excited about the meal. The starter is supposed to whet your
Yes, yes,
appetite. The starter is supposed to create space for bigger and better things. And so this starter has
yes,
really started. And
yes,
as we come to the close of this great conversation that we've had this morning, we are hearing that we need to take action. So let's take action. Reach out to Vusani, reach out to Shalom, and let's not have the pandemic of silence that we are having to suppress our expression, to suppress how we are feeling, to suppress conversation and under fear. And instead, we should have and spread this pandemic of kindness. Because where kindness exists, we will speak without fear. Where kindness exists, we will feel safe. We feel safe in the space of loving kindness. And so that's what we want
yeah.
to do. As we go off today in our workplaces, in our businesses, let's be kind. And at the end of the day today, we ask ourselves, I met 2 people today, I met 10 people today. I was in this online call, I had this phone call, I wrote this email, I sent this text. I engaged internally, externally. Was I kind? And on that mark sheet, because you will be the marking scheme, you will be the teacher with the marking scheme. As you mark your exam paper at the end of the day today, may you get 100% on the score of kindness. So that's what we want to leave you with today. It's exactly 9:30. We are so in excellent time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Please be in touch. We will tell you when the next one is coming. Reach out. And it's been a fabulous, fabulous discussion. Thank you. And bye. Be blessed, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a beautiful day ahead. Thank you, Ben. See you. Bye, Nancy. Bye, Dan. Bye, Dr. Emily. Bye, Julie. Bye, Ben. Bye, Mercy. It's been lovely to have you. Bye, Brian. Great to see you here. Absolutely great. Thank you for sharing.